The desert stretched, a tapestry woven from sand and silence. Sun-baked dunes rippled, monuments to the wind's artistry. Shadows stretched, long fingers from ancient rocks and scraggly bushes. The only sound, the whisper of sand against sand, a secret language spoken only in the heart of the desert. The air hung heavy, thick with untold stories and ancient warnings. It pressed down, a physical weight on anyone foolish enough to venture into its domain. This was a place of secrets, buried deep beneath the shifting sands, guarded by the relentless sun and the whispering wind. A place where even time seemed to move differently, where the past was not gone but lay dormant, waiting to be awakened. 5 figures moved against the stark backdrop. Explorers, they called themselves, drawn by the lure of the unknown. They were a mismatched bunch. A grizzled archaeologist, his eyes burning with the thirst for discovery. A thrill-seeking financier, funding the expedition for the adventure. A young historian eager to make his mark. A seasoned guide, his face a weathered map of the desert. And a doctor there to tend to their physical needs, unaware of the horrors that awaited their souls. They moved with a practiced rhythm, their steps leaving fleeting footprints in the ever-shifting canvas of the desert. Each man carried the weight of their dreams and ambitions, their hopes clinging to them like the dust that coated their skin. Little did they know, their dreams were about to turn into a nightmare, their hopes ground to dust beneath the heel of an ancient evil. Their destination, a lost city, whispered in hushed tones in dusty, forgotten texts. A city of immense power and unimaginable wealth, swallowed by the desert centuries ago. Its name was lost to time, but the legend persisted, drawing the foolish and the brave into the heart of the desert. Days bled into weeks. The sun beat down mercilessly and the wind whipped at their faces, but still they pushed on, driven by the promise of their quest. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they found it. A single weathered stone, half buried in the sand, etched with strange symbols. The archaeologist recognized them instantly. The language of the ancients, long forgotten by man. Excitement crackled in the air, thick as the dust that clung to their throats. They dug with a fervor bordering on frenzy, their hands raw, their bodies screaming for rest. The archaeologist directed their efforts, his voice hoarse with excitement. The financier paced nervously, his eyes flickering between the dig site and the horizon. The historian scribbled furiously in his notebook, his hand cramping, desperate to capture every detail. The guide watched them, a strange look in his eyes. Only the doctor seemed apprehensive, a tremor of unease running down his spine. The stone was just the tip of a buried monolith. As they dug deeper, the air grew heavy, charged with a palpable energy. It felt like they were disturbing something that was not meant to be disturbed. The ground beneath their feet seemed to vibrate, and the whispers of the wind morphed into guttural growls. But they were too caught up in their discovery to heed the warnings. With a final heave, they unearthed the monolith. It stood taller than a man, carved from obsidian blacker than the night sky. The symbols etched on its surface seemed to writhe and twist as if alive. As the last of the sand fell away, a low hum resonated from the monolith. It grew louder, shaking the ground until it morphed into an ear-splitting shriek. The sky turned blood red. From the heart of the monolith, a figure began to emerge. Tall and imposing, it was made of smoke and shadow, its eyes burning embers in the darkening sky. The air crackled with raw power, the very essence of chaos and destruction. This was no benevolent spirit, no wish-granting genie of children's tales. This was something ancient and evil, imprisoned for millennia, and now, thanks to the arrogance of man, it was free once more. The desert, once content to whisper, now roared its fury.